And we're live. Welcome back or welcome to the Truth Comes to Light podcast, where everything done in the dark is going to come to light. Every single detail in this world that is done in the dark is going to come to light. I'm your host, Jay Coven, and welcome to this show. For those of y'all that are new on the Truth Comes to Light podcast, talk about news from all over the world, the music industry, and more. Please sure to check out my previous podcast episode on the channel. And also, please sure to check out Real Spill Wednesdays. On Real Spill Wednesdays, talk about life topics and motivational quotes. Please be sure to check out my previous Real Spill Wednesday that I just dropped over the whole Drake diss. Please tune into that one and all the other Real Spill Wednesdays that I have dropped on the channel. Also, please sure to give this video a thumbs up, subscribe to the channel, turn on post notifications to get the latest updates on when I post a full podcast episode or a full Real Spill Wednesday. More videos will be dropping soon. We're getting more consistent. Y'all follow me on IG, TikTok, and X at The Truth Comes to Light podcast, because who knows, whatever I post on any one of those social media platforms is like a foreshadow on what the next podcast episode or Real Spill Wednesday will be about. I will be going back asking for topic suggestions for both my podcasts and my Real Spill Wednesdays. I really want y'all to feel as though y'all can engage with me and I can engage with you. And I like y'all topic suggestions. I really do. So I got to get back asking y'all topic suggestions, whether that's for my Real Spill podcast, any one of those. So when I do ask for them, please drop a topic suggestion. I really want to hear what y'all have to say. And I will, if I get to it, I will be talking about it on the next Real Spiller podcast episode. So you don't want to miss out on any one of those things. So with that in mind, let's get straight into this podcast episode. We're not going to waste no time. A lot of things has been going on, but more so the NBA and the WNBA. That has been the main topic of discussion right now. And also, as I said earlier, the Drake diss, Kendrick diss, J. Cole diss, all of those things has been going on in the music industry, and we'll be talking about all of that. But first, we will be starting off with the play-in tournaments, the play-in games that just happened yesterday as I'm recording this video, and one will be coming on. Two actually will be coming on tomorrow as I'm recording this video. Hopefully, I can get this video out the same day as this play-in tournament that does happen on Friday. So we're going to start off with the LA Lakers, my team. Personally, I'm a LeBron fan. So the LA Lakers, after nearly blowing an 18-point lead to the New Orleans Pelicans, secure the win late, 110 to 106, to secure the 7th seed, and will play the Nuggets in the first round in the rematch from the Western Conference Finals. Huge three-pointer from D-Lo at the end of the game, and clutch free throw shooting by the Lakers as a whole secured the W. Zion in his first play-in game dropped 40 points, but it was not enough for his team to win. Zion ended up suffering a left hamstring injury with around 3 minutes to go in the game after scoring his 40th point, and he did not return to the game. LeBron James had 23 points, 9 assists, and 9 rebounds. Anthony Davis had 20 points, 15 assists. D-Lo had 21 clutch three-pointers, clutch shooting 7 of 14 from the field, 5 3-pointers. Austin Reeves had 16 and 6 with 5 rebounds. Rory Hachimura had 13 points. Zion had 40 points, 40 and 11 in his first play, and a lot of people have been saying things about Zion Williamson. Is he ever going to play in the playoffs? Is he ever going to stay healthy? And even though he did get injured in this game, the first play-in game, playoff game, whatever you want to call it, he did come and score 40 points. In my personal opinion, I feel as though that was good for him. I don't think Zion is a bust, but that is a topic for another discussion. Brandon Ingram did not show up at all. Second best player on the team had 11 points. CJ McCollum didn't show up at all, only had 9 points. They really got their points and their comeback really from Zion Williamson. And Trey Murphy had 12 points off the bench. Jose Alvarado had 10. Larry Nance had a good 10. Played some solid minutes. The bench played pretty solid. Valanciunas didn't do nothing. Had 4 points, 10 rebounds. But overall, Zion Williamson, even though he got injured, even though Zion can't stay healthy, he was the one that rallied the Pelicans to come back from this 18-point deficit that they were in. Remember, they were up early in this game, and they end up the second quarter. They end up, giving the lead to the Lakers, and then the third quarter, that's when they had that 18-point lead. But then, Zion picked it up, and they played good defense overall, the Pelicans. But when Zion got hurt, Brandon Ingram, who wasn't going to do anything, C.J. McCollum didn't do anything the whole entire game. And the Lakers just, at the end of the game, with clutch three-pointer by D-Lo and just great free throw shooting, the clutch rebound by AD after that LeBron missed, and he got the rebound and he got fouled. But you see, LeBron James shot 10 of 10 from the free throw line. The Lakers shot 90% from the free throw line. You're not going to beat no team if they're able to, one, get to the free throw line, but if they're shooting 90%. And they just closed out the game. When it mattered most, AR hit free throws, LeBron hit free throws, Anthony Davis hit free throws. Since when have we seen LeBron James go 10 for 10 at the free throw line? I can't even remember that. And LeBron isn't the best free throw shooter, but he went 10 for 10. Anthony Davis shot 80%. AR 4 for 4. Like, it was closed out the whole game when it mattered most, and they didn't even give the Pelicans a chance late in the game to do something because they just kept on hitting their free throws. Now, the good news is the Lakers made the playoffs. The bad news is they got to play the Nuggets in the first round. Now, me personally, on my side, I was hearing people say whether or not the Lakers should take the first game and play the Nuggets, or should they intentionally lose, play the winner between the Warriors and the Kings, and then whoever wins that game, hopefully it's the Lakers, they go and play the OKC Thunder in the first round. Personally, the Thunder is a better matchup. I'm not going to deny that it's a better matchup for the Lakers, but I wouldn't take no chances. Not beating the Pelicans, because you can beat the Pelicans. The Lakers are a good matchup for the Pelicans, because the problem with the Pelicans, they don't have the guard play that can really kill the Lakers. What kill the Lakers is teams like Denver, teams like the Mavericks with good guard play. That's what really kills them. But if their star players are the front court, like Zion Williamson, Brandon Ingram, who plays the three, they can match up with that easily. But the moment you get a Jamal Murray and a Jokic with the screen and roll, the moment you get a Luka and a Kyrie, that'll cause problems for the Lakers. And then the Lakers are finally turning it up a notch. After the in-season tournament, they were inconsistent. But after All-Star break and really after January, they started picking it up. And once they finally picked it up and finally figured out, okay, this is going to be the starting five. Taurean Prince should not even be in the starting five. Put AR back in the starting five. When D'Angelo Russell found out that he could have got traded, he started playing better. AD playing a season-high 76 games out of 82 games. He's getting back right. LeBron staying consistent like he always is. They picked it up. So now when they play these teams, they know how to play them. It's just the front court that I'm concerned about. Austin Reeves and his defense, I'm concerned about. D'Angelo Russell and his defense against these talented guards that they have to go up against, I'm a little bit concerned. But the moment we got to go up against teams where their best players are the front court, like a Zion Williamson or something like that, we can easily beat them. I knew off rip after the first game. Remember, they played on Sunday. LeBron had a field day. He had 11 assists in the first quarter. He had a field day. LeBron had a field day here. The whole team played good. But I feel as though if we play like a Nuggets team that we're finna play in this first round, it's going to be a very tough matchup. So that's why personally, even though you don't want to intentionally lose to the Pelicans, it's too easy of a win for the Lakers. And then another thing, you don't want to take no chances. Let's say the Kings win, and sure enough, the Kings won, which we'll be talking about here in a little bit. The Kings won. AD has never beat Sabonis in his career. Never beat Sabonis. So that would have been a brutal draw if they would have played the Kings or if they played the Warriors, because who knows how the Warriors would have came out against the Lakers. So Personally, I would have said go out and take the W against the Pelicans, clinch you a 7 seed, and then just hope for the West. Really, the Lakers are fraud, if you want me to be honest with you. My thing is, the Lakers, you blew an 18-point lead to the Pelicans. Imagine what the Nuggets are finna do to you. You got swept by the Nuggets last year. You see Darvin Ham saying we want all the smoke and all of that. You almost blew an 18-point lead to the Pelicans. So you get Nikola Jokic, who knows how to diagnose plays and defenses. It's going to be a tough matchup. You have Jamal Murray. You have Michael Porter Jr., KCP, Aaron Gordon. Don't forget about Christian Braun and all of these guys that they have. Like, it's going to be a tough matchup, and it's going to probably be a field day for Nikola Jokic. AD has to step up. But really the one that really has to step up, that didn't step up last year against the Denver Nuggets, is D'Angelo Russell. There is no question about it. D'Lo cannot have the same series this year that he had last year against the Nuggets. Point blank, period. If he has the same thing, the same problems with his bad shooting, because his shooting stats are up. His three-pointer has got better compared to last year. His shooting overall got better compared to last year. But if he comes into this first-round series and it's ice cold like he was last year, the Lakers are going to get probably swept. They may get one game. But if he plays, we can get a couple of games off of Denver. And obviously, AD got to come ready. He got to come. He has to pretty much neutralize Jokic. Not neutralize him. That's not the right word I want to use. I think if Nikola Jokic scores 30, AD has to score 30. If Nikola has 25, AD has to have 25. AD can't have 15, 18, 17, and Nikola Jokic out here is scoring 30, 31, 32. It's not going to work. If that happens, we're for sure losing. D'Lo and Anthony Davis is going to be the X factor of this series, point blank, period. Because if Anthony Davis doesn't play good, they're getting swept, point blank, period. If D'Lo doesn't play good, they could get swept, but they could get a game. Austin Reeves, I feel like, is going to play okay. LeBron is going to play okay. Rory, I think, is going to play fine. But the depth of Denver and all the guys that they have, I just feel as though it's going to be hard for the Lakers to win that series. I don't personally see them winning it. As much as I love LeBron, as much as I love, him playing for the Lakers with AD and the guys that they have, the teammates, I just feel as though they're just too deep. You get Jokic on the block. No, you get Jokic in the post. You get Aaron Gordon on the block. You get Jamal Murray screen and rolls. You have KCP screen and rolls. Like, Jokic is going to have a field day against Anthony Davis. All we can do is just hope that Anthony Davis can do the same in regards to points. Because it's like with Nikola Jokic, it's like, okay, if you're going to hold Nikola Jokic to 30 points, you cannot have him get 10 assists. You can't. If you're going to hold Nikola Jokic to 18 points, you can't let him get 15 assists or whatever. You got to nullify something, whether that's his passing or that's his scoring. It's got to be one or the other. And it's easier to do the passing because Nikola Jokic is going to get his regardless. But you can't let him get his in multitude of ways, whether that is scoring or passing. So, for the Pelicans, on the other hand, the Pelicans are fried. Especially with it now being reported that Zion Williamson will not be playing the next play-in game. Oh, yeah, the Pelicans are fried. The Pelicans aren't winning. They're going to get eliminated on Friday. Yes, most definitely. Because of the simple fact, CJ McCollum, good player, he's not going to get you over the hump. Brandon Ingram, if he has this same exact game against the Lakers that he does in the next play-in game, they're not going to win at all. They need somebody like Zion, and I feel bad for Zion. Zion was the number 1 overall pick, and he has played in less games than him being hurt. He's been hurt more times than he's played games, and it's really, sad to see. So him playing in the play-in game and him dropping 40, I was feeling good. And then all of a sudden he gets injured. It's like, dang. Then he's having weight problems, and now he's back right, and then he gets hurt again. It's like, when will Zion ever be healthy? Will he even be healthy? And the Pelicans can do so much if Zion plays. Zion Williamson alone is pretty much the Pelicans going from a 4 seed all the way to where they're at now, a 7-8 seed. Literally. Zion Williamson alone can get the middle of the pack in the Western Conference. But it's just he's not there enough. He's not there enough. And it's like, for the Pelicans organization, for Willie Green and the coaching staff, it's like, how long are you going to keep Zion around? How many chances are you going to keep Zion around? We get Zion Williamson coming out of high school as looking as a generational talent, big body, dominant in college, number 1 overall pick. But you got to remember, you got Ja Morant, number 2. Now, even though he's having suspension problems and all of that, overall, he's having a better career than Zion Williamson. But Zion Williamson, him cutting down his weight, he's playing good. What I call Zion Williamson a bust? No, you can't call someone that averages 25 points per game a bust. You just can't. Even though he's been injured more, when he's out there, he's balling. He's playing. But it's just, how many chances, Pelicans, are you going to give him? How many times are you going to let him get hurt before it's like, man, I love you, Zion, but we got to go out and find something in the trade market or find somebody in the draft, because when it matters most, you're not going to be there. And we know with the team that we have constructed with you, we can at least be middle of the pack. Remember, at a point in time this season, they were like a 3 seed, 4 seed. Zion kept getting hurt, dropped, all the way to where they're at now. They finished with a 49-33 record. The West is just a hard conference. Don't get it twisted. But imagine if Zion played more. Imagine if Zion was there so that way the whole team can really have that chemistry and really know how to play with each other. Zion this year has been playing different than what he was the previous years before. They're using him more as a point forward now and trying to get guys open. You know what I'm saying? But I personally feel as though the Pelicans, they need Zion badly. But it's only a matter of time. It's literally a ticking time bomb for Zion. Zion's just got hurt too many times. Whether that is the hamstring, the foot, him in his weight, he's not in shape. It's so many different variables with Zion Williamson. And I love him. Like, that's like he's good. He's a good player. I don't got nothing bad to say about you. But it's only a matter of time, Zion. You already got in shape. Good. Now you just got to remain healthy. And throughout this time, you being off the court, don't get back out of shape. You can't get back out of shape because it's only a ticking time bomb for Zion. But for the Lakers just got a brutal draw. It was kind of like a lose-lose situation. You win and you're in automatically. You lose, you could potentially play the Warriors or the Kings, and who knows what would have happened, even though down the line, you're really looking at it as, okay, we're playing the Thunder first round. And personally, I feel as though the Thunder, even though they're the number 1 seed, the Thunder is the weakest number 1 seed in quite some time, probably since the Utah Jazz, really. And we'll be talking about that later. But the Lakers, it's like a lose-lose situation, but you don't want to take that chance and lose that first game. Then when you get out the playoffs, now we're questioning Darvin Ham like we already been. You wanted to lose the first game intentionally so that way you get a better matchup, but then you end up losing to the Kings, and now you're not in the playoffs, or you lose to the Warriors and they're not in the playoffs. It's going to look bad. So I think the Lakers made the smart decision by beating the Pelicans after they just beat them on Sunday. They knew that they can beat them again. They knew that the Pelicans don't have no chance against the Lakers. I personally believe they didn't have no chance against the Lakers. So I think that this was a good decision by Darvin Ham and the LA Lakers to take this win, go ahead and get in the playoffs, and then just prepare for Denver. Man, that's going to be a brutal series for the Lakers. They blew an 18-point lead, so it's just like I'm concerned. I am concerned for the Lakers, but shooting 90% from the line, that's going to get you the W every single time. But for the Pelicans, you're fried. I'm sorry. I just don't think you're going to beat the next team in the play-in, especially if Zion isn't playing. I would be shocked if you do, and even if you're getting bounced first round. So, good win for the Lakers. So now we're going to talk about the next play-in game that happened that same day between the Warriors and the Sacramento Kings. Is it the end of the dynasty for the Golden State Warriors? Has the dynasty came to an end? The Sacramento Kings smack the Golden State Warriors 118-94 to play the Pelicans to see who clinches the 8th seed in the West. Keegan Murray and Keon Ellis were the difference makers in the game, whether it was from Keegan Murray's three-pointers that he was hitting. He hit 3 straight threes, going up 9-0 early to the Warriors, and he did not let off the gas the whole entire game. Or if it was with Keon Ellis and his amazing defense against Steph Curry, getting steals, and amazing defense against Klay Thompson. Those two guys were the difference maker for the Sacramento Kings, and it was just too much for him. Klay Thompson finished with 0 points on 0 of 10 shooting. Steph Curry finished with 22 points, 2 assists, 4 rebounds. Like I said, Klay Thompson had 0 points. Wiggins had 12 points, but Wiggins did not show up this whole entire game. Trace Jackson-Davis, they took him out early because he was not a good matchup for Sabonis. It was not looking good. Draymond Green had 12.6 assists. He played all right. Kuminga had 16 off the bench. He played fine. But overall, Klay Thompson is washed, and we will be talking about that. For the Sacramento Kings, Keegan Murray had a game-high 32 points on 10 of 20 shooting, 8 of 13 from the three-point line. It felt as though Keegan Murray was not missing. Keegan Murray was cooking with hot grease, cooking on all cylinders. I knew when he hit those 3 threes at the beginning of the game, they went up 9-0. I was like, oh yeah, Keegan Murray was going to have a good game. And mind you, they did this without Malik Monk, the 6th man, and they did it without Kevin Huerter. So he had to step up, and sure enough, he did step up. Harrison Barnes had a good game. Sabonis, 16 and 12, had a good game. Keon Ellis had 15 along with a couple of steals and played phenomenal defense. And De'Aaron Fox is obviously going to do his thing. He had 24 points, 6 assists, 4 rebounds. But the difference maker, obviously, Keegan Murray, Keon Ellis. Without Keon Ellis, who knows? Steph Curry's 22 points would have went up to 30. Because Steph had 22, but he was relatively quiet. And he was the only one that was really doing something, but he wasn't doing Steph Curry things that we know like he did in Game 7 of the playoffs last year against the Kings, where I think he dropped 50 points, if I'm not mistaken. Thompson, 0 of 10. Klay Thompson is washed. And one thing I will say, this dynasty is over. This dynasty's been over. I personally believe the dynasty was over, even though the Warriors won that championship in 2022. You got to think, Steph Curry was really carrying that team. So I first feel as though the dynasty was over when they lost that series to the Raptors. When they lost that series to the Raptors, everything just went downhill. When Klay Thompson got hurt, everything went downhill. It wasn't when KD left or none of that. I personally believe when they lost that series to the Raptors, when Klay Thompson got hurt, that was the end of it. And yes, they won that championship after. But was it really that same level of dominance of Steph Curry and Klay Thompson? It was the same with Steph Curry, but not with Klay Thompson. You could clearly see a difference with Klay Thompson. They didn't have no bench. They didn't have no guys, really. And you see it now. They have but just a bunch of young guys. Kuminga, who's good. Moses Moody, who's good, but they don't really give him that many minutes. Podziemski, he's good, but it ain't the same at all. This isn't the same dominant force of Steph Curry, Klay Thompson, Draymond Green, and they're getting old. Steph Curry is the only one that is still up there. You cannot deny that. But Klay Thompson, ever since his injury, he has just been inconsistent. This whole season was inconsistent. And remember, he had a whole shooting slump towards the beginning, middle of the season. He picked it up a little bit, but then when it comes down to this play-in game, you shoot 0 for 10, that's not going to win you basketball games. So the Golden State Warriors, it's the end. The window is closing, especially with how these teams are playing in the West, with the OKC Thunder being a young team and they're looking great. The Nuggets, the Timberwolves, all of these teams, they're better than the Warriors. You got to remember, 5, 6, 7 years from now, the Warriors were ahead of the curve. When they had Steph Curry, Thompson, Green, and KD, they were way ahead of the curve. But now KD is gone. Now these guys are getting older. Now you see these young guys really stepping up and playing their butts off. Now these teams that were bad and the Warriors were smacking them 5, 6, 7 years ago, now they're coming back. They're coming up. And now they're the team that is beating the Golden State Warriors. You got to think, 5, 6, 7 years ago, the Kings wasn't beating the Warriors like this. They weren't smacking them. They wasn't, having a better record than the Warriors, and the Warriors got to go on the road and play them 4 out of the 7 games. It was never like that. Warriors was always smacking the Kings. Remember, the Kings used to suck. But now they got a team now. Now they got Fox. Now they got Sabonis. Now they got Malik Monk. Now they got Harrison Barnes and Keegan Murray, who just came. Now they got these guys. Keon Ellis, who's a two-way player. Now they got these guys, and now they can compete with any team in the West. Now you see the Suns. Remember, the Suns used to suck. It used to just be Devin Booker, and the Warriors used to smack them. Now they got Devin Booker. They had CP3. Remember that. They have Bradley Beal, and they have Kevin Durant. Now, even though they haven't really played together like that, their team overall is better than what it was 5, 6, 7 years ago when the Warriors were just dominating the whole league. Same with the Thunder. Same with the Lakers. Same with the Timberwolves. So all of these teams, now that you see the Golden State Warriors play, it's tough for them to win. Versus back then, since they were so ahead of the curve and they were so dominant with all of these guys, and Klay Thompson was in his prime, Draymond prime, Steph Curry way, way in his prime, KD prime. They were blitzing everybody, and it wasn't even close. But now since these teams have caught up, I think it's over with for the Golden State Warriors. It's over with. I don't see them winning. Personally, I think Klay Thompson is going to be there next year if he takes a pay cut, which I think he is going to take a pay cut. I wouldn't be surprised if he takes a pay cut. I feel like that is the smart decision for him to do. But if he doesn't take the pay cut, he's not going to be there. I personally feel as though they got to get rid of somebody, as hard as that is. They either got to get rid of Steph, which I know they're not going to get rid of. They got to get rid of Draymond Green. They got to get rid of Klay Thompson. They got to get under that luxury tax if you want to have a chance of winning. Try and get some role players or some guys on your team. But if they can't do that, then the Warriors are screwed. The Warriors are going to be screwed for a long time coming because these teams are only going to get better. So, good win for the Sacramento Kings. For the Sacramento Kings, what I will say is, you're going to beat the Pelicans. You're going to be that 8th seed. And I personally feel as though the Kings versus the Thunder, that's a good matchup for them. Sabonis can cook. Sabonis can cook against the OKC Thunder. Same with De'Aaron Fox. Now, do I feel as though they're going to beat the Thunder? I don't think they're going to beat the Thunder. I think it will go 6 games, though. But I feel as though the Sacramento Kings, with the team that they got, if they have Malik Monk for this first round, which they're probably not going to have, I may say different because he could come on that bench and then just light up, be a spark plug for the Sacramento Kings. But if he's not going to be back, it's going to be hard for them to win because they do need some people on that bench. and they don't have it right now. But Malik Monk, that 6 man, he was going to be that spark plug for the Sacramento Kings. So without him, it's going to be hard, but I feel as though they pretty much secured them a playoff spot, especially since Zion Williamson isn't going to be playing for the Pelicans on Friday. So I think the Kings are going to go ahead and lock up that 8th seed in the West and play the OKC Thunder. But everybody on this team, they played good against the Warriors. And it had got close a little bit, but really, to be honest with you, this whole game, it was really all Kings. The Warriors didn't have it. The Warriors ain't have it from start to finish. It was all Kings. They made it close a little bit, but the Kings just blew it away. And if Keegan Murray can have him a same game that he did against the Warriors, against the Pelicans, or even in the first round, maybe that could change things. But personally, I don't think they're going to beat the Thunder. But they will beat the Pelicans, though, most definitely. So, good win for the Sacramento Kings, finishing 46-36 as of right now, and they will be winning more games. But isn't it kind of crazy that the difference between the Lakers and the Warriors and Kings is only one game? The difference between the Pelicans and the Warriors and Kings is only 3 games. Like, the West is stacked. And these are the teams in the play-in, so that shows a lot. These teams are over 10 games, over 500. And it's crazy. And these are the play-in teams. So, like I said, the West is tough, but good win for the Sacramento Kings. They will be playing the New Orleans Pelicans to see who clinches that 8th spot. And that is why in the 4th quarter, you put Nicholas Batum in. If you know, you know. After being down by double figures, the 76ers rally in the second half to win 105-104 to clinch the 7th seed and will play the New York Knicks in the first round. Nick Batum had clutch baskets in the 4th quarter, one after another, and clutch defense against Tyler Hero, one to force the backcourt violation, and the other one when Tyler Hero was coming off the screen, he blocked it, and that resulted in the 76ers overall just taking the whole W. The Heat will play the Bulls to see who clinches up that 8th spot. However, they will not have Jimmy Butler after he suffered an MCL sprain in the game after he had got fouled by Kelly Oubre. And Kelly Oubre, I think, landed on his leg, and it kind of like extended his leg. And that's what caused the MCL sprain. And you saw it in the game. Jimmy Butler just wasn't the same. Jimmy Butler had 19 points, 5 assists, 4 rebounds. Bam had 10 points. He was all right. He had 10 and 12. Tyler Hero, even though he had 25, he was very inconsistent. No one else really played good. Jaime Jaquez played good off the bench. Kevin Love played good off the bench. But overall, the whole starting 5, Caleb Martin only had 5 points. He ain't do nothing. Nikola Jovic had 5 points. He ain't do nothing. But really, they got their key minutes from Jaime Jaquez Jr. and Kevin Love, most definitely. I wonder if Jimmy Butler doesn't get hurt, maybe they do win the game, because remember, they were up by double figures in this game, and they just end up coming back in the second half. But if Jimmy Butler doesn't get hurt, he will be more aggressive, and who knows, Miami, he would have won. Joel Embiid had 23. Tyrese Maxey had 19. Even though Tyrese Maxey had 19, I would like him to be more aggressive. And he was doing that, towards the end of the game, especially when Jimmy Butler was guarding him. But I would like Tyrese Maxey to be more aggressive and go to the rim more. Try and get the ball more in his hands. Nick Batum had 20 points off the bench, which was key for them winning clutch buckets. The one where I think it was Tyrese Maxey goes up for the layup. He misses it, and then all of a sudden, you see Nick Batum come out of nowhere and hit it with his right hand, and that goes in. That was crazy. Clutch 3-pointers, clutch defense on Tyler Hero. He just overall was the difference maker in the game. Kelly Oubre had 11. Tobias Harris ain't played good at all. Had 9 points. Kyle Lowry ain't played good at all. But, yeah, Nick Batum, you earned my respect. That is why you're supposed to be in the fourth quarter. Like, without Nick Batum, they would have lost this game. Joel Embiid had 23, but he played all right. He played cool. But it was Nick Batum that was the difference maker in the game, most definitely. And like I said, I feel as though if Jimmy Butler doesn't get hurt, maybe they win the game. Because Jimmy Butler would have been more aggressive. There would have been more possession when he would have got the ball instead of Tyler Hero. Because Tyler Hero was the one that was shooting the ball more. Maybe some of those possessions would have went to Jimmy Butler, and he would have shot the ball. So many things would have transpired differently if Jimmy Butler doesn't get hurt. And Eric Spoelstra knows that. Eric Spoelstra's a great coach. They came out with a game plan, and that's how they got out. That's how they went up early on them. And that's how they had a double-digit lead. It just faded away really once Jimmy Butler got hurt and Nick Batum came cooking in the second half. Joel Embiid was cooking too, hit some three-pointers. He played cool, like I said. But it was really Nick Batum that was the difference maker in the game. No question about it. Now, for the 76ers against the Knicks, I personally feel as though they can beat them. They can beat the New York Knicks if Tyrese Maxey is doing what he is doing. Tyrese Maxey, I personally feel as though he is going to be the X factor in that series. Because Jalen Brunson is going to get his, but you got to remember, they don't have Julius Randle. He's out for the season. They got DiVincenzo, he's playing good. They got Hart that's playing good. Harvestein, he's playing good. But I personally feel as though Joel Embiid is going to get his. Tyrese Maxey, he got to step up and play. And Tobias Harris got to step up and play. If they can play, then maybe they'll win. But personally, that's going to be a tough series. Like, that series can go 6 games, most definitely. That series can go 6 games. But Tyrese Maxey and Tobias Harris will be the difference maker, whether or not the 76ers can come home with the W, the series W, or not. So, I personally feel as though they got lucky that Jimmy Butler didn't get hurt. Because if Jimmy Butler doesn't get hurt, they probably would have lost that game. I'm not even going to lie to you. Now, Jimmy Butler, I was just thinking about this probably 10, 15 minutes ago. Jimmy Butler is a dog. We understand that. Jimmy Butler can carry a team. We can understand that. Who would have ever thought that he can carry a team to 2 finals appearances? One with just a bunch of undrafted players. Who would have ever thought Jimmy Butler can do that? Jimmy Butler got that dog in him. But is Jimmy Butler a top 15 player, though? I know he's for sure not a top 10. He has the dog mind in him. He knows that nobody's better than him. He will never just be like, man, nobody is better than him. If anybody tries going up against him one-on-one, he is going to make it difficult. But I feel as though, is he a top 15 player? Can you name 15 guys that's better than Jimmy Butler? It's so many guys that I would take skill-wise over Jimmy Butler. Obviously, you got LeBron, you got Luka, you got Tatum. All of these guys, KD, Kawhi, Luka, so many other guys. You know what I'm saying? Is he really a top 15 player? John Morant? It's guys out there. Is he a top 15 player? Can you name 15 guys that's better than Jimmy Butler? Even though they may be better skill-wise, like Kyrie Irving is, I personally feel as though it's better. But can they carry a team like Jimmy Butler? That's the difference maker. Jimmy Butler has all my respect. But is Jimmy Butler skill-wise a top 15 player? Because we know he's not top 10. But it's the more you see him beat these teams that really he's not supposed to beat. He's not supposed to beat the Celtics. He's not supposed to beat these teams, but he ends up beating them. Giannis is better than him. It's guys out there. But somehow, some way, somebody from Miami with a bunch of undrafted guys will come and beat the team with the better players on it. It's kind of crazy to think about it. And it leads me to believe, like, you can't count out the Heat. No matter if they're a 7 seed, a 10th seed, and they make the playoffs somehow, some way, you just can't count out Jimmy Butler. You can't count out Jimmy Butler. And now they have Tyler Hero. Hopefully he doesn't get hurt in this year's playoffs. Same with Bam Adebayo. Hopefully they can stay healthy. But it's just crazy. Like, Jimmy Butler is really carrying these dudes to a championship. And it's really crazy to see, but he's not getting the respect that he deserves. That's like the messed up thing about it. Jimmy Butler's making it to these finals. He's beating these teams. He's beating the Celtics. He's beating the Bucks. Beating these good teams, but he ain't getting the respect that he deserves. So if the Heat would have won against the 76ers, personally, I would have had them beating the Knicks. And even with them, if they beat the Bulls in this play-in game and they got to play the Celtics, you still can't count out the Heat because they beat the Celtics. And you never know how the Celtics are going to come out. So I personally feel as though even though they're not going to have Jimmy Butler, hopefully this MCL sprain, he's going to be out for weeks. So that's going to be a little bit bad for them. But hopefully they can beat the Bulls. And then when they play the Celtics in the first round, hopefully they can prolong the series and hope that Jimmy Butler can try and fight through it or whatever and probably play. But if he can't play, oh yeah, they'll get eliminated first round most definitely. They could mess around and lose to the Bulls, but personally I feel as though Eric Spoelstra is going to get them over the hump against the Bulls. So, good win for the 76ers, but the Heat, I wouldn't count them out just yet, especially if Jimmy Butler can come back. But if he doesn't, then they're out of it, most definitely. Now, the last play-in game was the Hawks versus the Bulls. And in this game, it was all Kobe White. Kobe White had 42 points against the Atlanta Hawks. And they secured the W 131-116. Like I said, Kobe White, career high, 42 points. Now, even though this doesn't count technically, and I feel as though that's so weird that it doesn't count. Playing games, that stat don't count. So, it ain't going to count that he got 42 points, but he said it counts in his head. And the Bulls, they came out hot in that first quarter. Yes, the Hawks made it close towards halftime, but then the Bulls and Kobe White really, they just broke away in the fourth quarter and the third quarter, and they ended up securing the W. DeRozan had 22. Like I said, Kobe White, 42. Vucevic had a good game with 24 and 12. Ayo Dosunmu had 19. It didn't feel like he had 19. Javonte Green had 10 and 6. Trae Young had 22 and 10. But one thing about Trae Young, even though he had 22 and 10, Trae Young did not play good. In that first half, he did not play good at all. He stepped it up in the second half, but really Trae Young, overall that whole game, he did not play good. That 22 and 10, don't really look at that 22 and 10 and just be like Trae Young had a good game, because Trae Young didn't have a good game. DeJounte Murray had a good game. DeJounte Murray had 30. He was the main one. Clint Capella had 22 and 17. Bogdan Bogdanovic had 21. But this game just shows that DeJounte Murray and Trae Young cannot play together, point blank period. When they did come together, we thought that they would make more noise than what they were going to make, because, you know, they didn't. I don't think they made the playoffs, and they just made a Eastern Conference Finals a couple of years ago. So then they added somebody to help Trae Young and DeJounte Murray, and we just seen in this 1 year that it did not work at all. So I feel as though the Hawks need to trade Trae Young or trade one of them. Trae Young needs to come to the Lakers. That's who the Lakers need. The Lakers need a Trae Young. Trae Young needs to get up out of Atlanta, to be honest with you. Somebody needs to get up out of there. But DeJounte Murray and Trae Young, It's been back and forth, but overall, their chemistry and their play styles, it just doesn't work at all. That was long term. That was just a bad move. It looked good because DeJounte Murray was having a good season with San Antonio, and then he comes to Atlanta to try and help out Trae Young because really it was only Trae Young and that's it. They had John Collins, they had Clint Capella, but it was really Trae Young and they needed some better guard play. But they get DeJounte Murray, and obviously, as you can tell, it was not it at all. The Bulls only won by 15, but this game wasn't really, it was never in Atlanta's control at all. It wasn't. DeJounte Murray played good, but other than that, really everybody else, Clint Capella really just got his off of, pick and roll, so, and then he just got his rebound, so it was overall cool. But Kobe White played phenomenal. Kobe White was looking like the up-and-coming Michael Jordan. Nah, I'm playing, y'all. But Kobe White played good. DeMar DeRozan played good. Now, they have the guys to beat the Heat, and they could beat the Heat, especially if Jimmy Butler isn't going to play. They do have a chance on beating the Heat. Caruso did get hurt. He's going to be out for that game. Their best defender is going to be out, so maybe that may cause some problems. Who knows? It just depends on how the Bulls are going to come out and play. And they're going to be on the road against the Miami Heat, so that's going to be even more difficult. So with that in mind, I do have the Miami Heat winning, but this Bulls team, they can beat the Heat without a Jimmy Butler. But if they did have Jimmy Butler, it wouldn't be close. And the fact that it isn't at home, they got to go on the road, that makes it even more difficult for the Chicago Bulls to secure a W on the road so that way they can get into the playoffs. And it's kind of crazy with the Chicago Bulls because remember, the Chicago Bulls, they had a great offseason and they had they got DeMar DeRozan, they got Zach LaVine, they've had Lonzo Ball, Caruso, and all of these guys. They got Vucevic when he was at Orlando. So when they all came together, we were thinking, okay, the Bulls were going to make some noise. They were going to make some noise with Lonzo Ball, DeMar DeRozan, Vucevic, who was playing good, like I said, Zach LaVine, who changed his whole game, and now he's doing what he is doing. And we're thinking that the Bulls were going to be good for years to come. And it's really just been a whole disappointment for the Chicago Bulls. With all the guys that they did have and what they did at their previous teams, thinking that they were going to all come together and be somewhat, good, it's like they very much underachieved. They did not exceed expectation. They didn't even make it to the expectation level that they should have made it to with the guys that they did get. And it's kind of sad to see because of the simple fact of all of the guys that they had. And they were, Zach LaVine isn't too old. He is like really in his best version of himself. Even though Lonzo has been getting hurt, that's been another thing that's been killing him. DeMar is still DeMar. He isn't the same as what he was at the Raptors or even with the Spurs, but you still get, versions of, old DeMar DeRozan from time to time, and he has been, some difference makers in a lot of games for the Chicago Bulls, but it's just like, man, the fact that they get all these guys and they can't even make it to the second round of the Eastern Conference playoffs, it's like, man, like, at some point in time, like, it's sad to say you got to break up the team. And it was really a failure. You get Kobe White from the draft. Like, nothing is going on. You just make it the play-ins, and it's just a failure for the Chicago Bulls. They made it to 39-43. If they make it to the playoffs, they're going to get bounced. So it's like, with the team that they had constructed, the vision that Chicago Bulls, the organization and the fan base had with all of the guys they got, they thought that they were going to do way more than what they have been doing now. And they just haven't. They just haven't at all. So, on the bright side, good win for the Chicago Bulls being the Atlanta Hawks. For Atlanta, you got to get rid of DeJounte Murray or you got to get rid of Trae Young. Personally, I would just get rid of Trae Young, free up some cap space, and then just restart that whole team because they don't fit together at all. you could probably get more from the trade market or try your luck in the NBA draft. But I would say go to the trade market, try and see what value you can get from Trae Young. And yeah, because you already got rid of John Collins. So you might as well pretty much just get rid of the team. You see that they didn't work together, DeJounte and Trae Young. So that's what I'll do. Try and test your lucks in the trade market. Try and get some picks. Try and get a guy. But if you can't, try and get those picks like the Thunder are doing and stack up on that and try and build for your future. But good win for the Chicago Bulls. Now, it is time for the NBA playoff bracket prediction. Now, I did this a few months ago, and remember, the Heat were hot at one point. And I did say that the Thunder and the Minnesota Timberwolves were not going to reach it to the Western Conference Finals. I said a whole lot of things. And the Celtics were going to make it to the finals and all of these things. I've said a lot. But things have changed, The seeding has changed. Who teams are going to be playing has changed. Now, everything isn't going to be finalized. As I'm recording this video, as you see, they're still trying to figure out who's going to be the 8th seed, whether that is the Pelicans or the Kings or the Bulls and the Heat. But by the time this video does come out, they should already have it. But we'll start off with the play-in games. Like I said, the Kings versus the Pelicans. Zion Williamson is not playing, and that is going to be the difference maker for the Pelicans. The Pelicans this season was a failure if you lose. If you lose to the Kings, this season was a failure because you started off at the 3 seed. You were middle of the pack in the West. Zion keeps on getting hurt. You drop all the way down to the 7th seed. You play the Lakers and you lose. Then you're finna play the Kings without Zion, your best player, and y'all finna lose. So it's like it's gonna be a ticking time bomb for Zion. And when you look at the offseason, as bad as it is, you may have to move on from Zion. Probably not this season, but next season, if this same cycle just keeps on happening, you may have to get rid of Zion Williamson. Overall, this season is going to be a failure. The only way the Pelicans can win is if Brandon Ingram and CJ McCollum ball out. And I'm talking about they got to combine for 60. They got to combine for 60 points in order for them to even have a chance on winning. But the Sacramento Kings, for them to win, obviously, they don't have Malik Monk. They don't have Kevin Huerter. Keegan Murray got to have him a game. De'Aaron Fox got to have him a game. But Sabonis is going to be that difference maker. Sabonis against Valanciunas, I think Sabonis is going to win that matchup. And Sabonis is going to be the difference maker and the win for the Sacramento Kings against the Pelicans to secure that 8th seed and will play the Thunder. So next we'll talk about the Bulls and the Heat. The Heat, since they're at home, I'm giving them the slight edge. But if they were on the road without Jimmy Butler, then personally I would have the Bulls winning. But since the Bulls got to go on the road and play the Heat, I got the Heat winning. Now I'm concerned for the Heat because Jimmy Butler is injured and he's going to be out for weeks. I'm concerned for them against the Celtics. But overall, I personally feel as though the Bulls do have the team, the better players to beat the Heat. But I just feel as though the coaching of Eric Spoelstra and them being at home is going to cause the Heat to win and go play the Celtics in the first round. So now it's going to be the Thunder versus the Kings. The Thunder are a young team. I get it. Shai Gilgeous-Alexander is balling. Isn't it crazy that Shai Gilgeous-Alexander is averaging 30 points per game on 2-pointers and floaters? Imagine if Shai Gilgeous-Alexander had a 3-ball. If SGA had a 3-ball, oh yeah, his game will be polished. It'll be done for. But he's scoring 30 points per game off of 2-pointers, floaters, mid-range, free throws. That's it. No threes whatsoever. And he's carrying this young team. This is the youngest team to ever be a number 1 seed in the playoffs. He's carrying these boys, and it's crazy. So, personally, The Thunder, they got to keep on relying on SGA. Give it to him early, give it to him often. Give it to J-Dub early and often. Give it to Chet Holmgren, who's been playing good. So I personally feel as though even though they're young, I just feel as though them being young and the team that they do have collectively, they can defend well. Chet can defend. Lou Dort can defend. SGA can defend. Jalen Williams, the other one, can defend. They can defend. So I will give them the edge over the Thunder, but it's going, over the Kings, but it's going 6 games. So I got the Thunder in 6. Now the Mavericks versus the Clippers. Now this is going to be a matchup. Let me tell y'all. That is going to be a matchup. Obviously, you've seen in previous years, starting from the bubble all the way until, a few years ago, Luka is busting the Clippers' ass every single time. Luka has the Clippers number every single year. They cannot stop him, whether they've had Patrick Beverly on him, whether they've had Markieff Morris on him, whether they've had Paul George on him. Throw as many guys as you want on Luka Doncic. He's busting their ass every single time. Every single time. And now the Mavericks have Kyrie Irving. Now the Mavericks have PJ Washington. Now they got Gafford. Now they got these guys on this team. Luka's averaging 33 points. Kyrie is doing his. So they have a chance on beating the Clippers. Just like with the 76ers last year. This series is finna come again on James Harden. If James Harden does not have him a series, they are going to lose. Because we know that between Paul George and Kawhi Leonard, at least one of them is going to show up. It may be Kawhi, it may be Paul George, but it's more likely going to be Kawhi Leonard. Okay? You need somebody else. You get Harden. Harden didn't want to be where he was at in Philly. You get Harden. You got Russ. I will put Russ in the starting lineup for this series and this series alone because you need that defense. So if Harden can play good, I'm confident. But when has Harden played good when it mattered most in the playoffs? Paul George got to play good when it matters most in the playoffs. Kawhi is going to do his. Luka is going to bust their ass. Luka is going to get his. I promise you Luka is going to get his. He's scoring 30 every single game. 30 every game. Kyrie is going to be the difference maker in this series, most definitely. Kyrie is going to be the difference maker. If Kyrie can get his, it's going to be tough to defend. Because it's going to be hard to switch against the Mavericks, too, if they get in foul trouble. It's going to be hard. So Luka's going to get his. Kyrie got to get his. If P.J. Washington can play too, if P.J. Washington can chip in another 20, that'll be good for them. But personally, this series is going to go 7 games. This is going to be the most entertaining series out of the whole Western Conference. It's going to be back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. Luka's going to do his. Kawhi's going to do his. But in order for the Clippers to propel, James Harden has to play. It's been too many series with too many different teams where James Harden doesn't come to play when it matters most. This is the series where he needs to play. This is the series where he needs to play. Same with Russell Westbrook. He has to come and play. But I personally am going to take the Mavericks to upset the Clippers in 7 games. That's going to be a good series. And the Mavericks are hot. Now since they made the playoffs, because remember last year they picked up Kyrie Irving and they didn't make the playoffs. But now they came in hot. They're coming in this playoffs hot with Kyrie Irving. So I personally have the Mavericks beating the Clippers in 7. Now the Timberwolves versus the Suns. Now the Suns are picking it back up. If they could get all 3, Devin Booker, Bradley Beal, and KD to play, I got the Suns personally beating them. Now, I know that the Timberwolves have Anthony Edwards, but I don't think Cat is going to be playing. Cat has to come back. But if Cat isn't coming back, I think he had a meniscus injury. They're not winning. They're not winning. I think the Timberwolves getting the Suns is a tough matchup, and I personally have the Suns beating the Timberwolves. The Suns is either going to go out in the first round. I mean, not the Suns. The Timberwolves are either going to go out in the first round or they're going to go out in the second round. And one or the other, it's going to go 5 games or 6 games. No question about it. But I personally feel as though the Suns have been inconsistent all year. Injuries have killed them, with Bradley Beal getting injured. Then Devin Booker's not playing. Then KD's not playing. They've never really played together. You see, that's been the problem with big threes. Normally with big threes, they don't always play together. You saw it in Brooklyn. You see it now with the Suns. Like, they've never played together. But if Bradley Beal, Devin Booker, and KD can all play together, I feel as though they can beat the Timberwolves. And if they're balling, they got to be balling too. I think that they can beat the Timberwolves in 6. Now, the Nuggets and Lakers, I'm going to just tell you this straight up. It's Nuggets in 5. Nuggets in 5. Now, LeBron, my favorite player. I want them to win so bad. But ain't nobody finna stop Jokic, man. Nobody finna stop Jokic. Nobody finna stop Jamal Murray. And then, who knows? It felt as though every single one of the games in the series last year, somebody will step up. Whether that was Aaron Gordon that'll step up. Whether that was KCP that'll step up. KCP was balling last year. Somebody gonna step up. It's just like they have that front court and backcourt dominance, and the Lakers don't have it. The only way the Lakers can win, like I said, if D'Angelo Russell can play good compared to what he did last year against the Nuggets, then they have a chance. But if he goes back to old D-Lo and he can't find a bucket, he can't buy a bucket, can't do nothing, oh, this is going to be over. Austin Reeves got to play. Rory Hachimura has to play, but we don't got no bench. We don't have no bench. And that's going to be the difference too. So, personally, I have the Nuggets in 5, man. It's hard for LeBron. I don't know if LeBron is going to make it to the NBA Finals again on the Lakers. I just don't see it. It's too many good teams, too many more talented teams that he's going up against in the West versus the East. Now, luckily, he already won a championship. I don't care if it was in a bubble. A championship is still a championship, so there can't be no argument with LeBron saying, oh, he can't win in the West because he has one in the West. But these teams are getting better young guys coming in the league, and I just feel as though the team that is constructed for the LA Lakers, they don't have no chance on beating really any of these teams in the playoffs except for maybe the Thunder. So, like I said, Nuggets in 5. So, then we'll have the Nuggets and Suns. And then we'll have the Thunder and the Mavericks. Now, that's hard. One thing I will say, any one of these teams, by the way, can make it to the conference finals. That's one thing I will say. But Thunder and Mavericks, I personally have the Thunder getting knocked off by the Mavericks. The Thunder is not making it to the Western Conference Finals. I'm sorry. They're not. Whether they lose to the Clippers or they lose to the Mavericks, they're not making it whatsoever. And I personally feel as though, like I said, the Mavericks are going to beat the Clippers. The Clippers can't overlook the Mavericks. They just can't look at the Thunder. But the Mavericks overall, with the team that they have, they're beating the Thunder in 6. They're beating them in 6. I'm sorry. Then we're going to have the Nuggets and the Suns in a rematch in the second round of the playoffs last year. I got the Nuggets beating them in 6. I think Jamal Murray is going to overall have him a series, and that's going to be the difference maker in the playoffs. So then we're going to move to the East, where we have the Celtics versus the Heat. If Jimmy Butler can come back, I would say otherwise, but right now it's looking like all Celtics. If the Celtics don't make it to the finals, we have some problems. Some coaching changes have to happen, or Jason Tatum or Jaylen Brown, whoever don't play. somebody got to go. Because you can't get Porzingis, add them to the team. You find out that you need a third person that can stretch out the floor. You get Porzingis. You have Al Horford. You have Drew Holiday. You have Jason Tatum. You have Jaylen Brown. And you can't make it to a finals. This for the Celtics is NBA finals or bust. Point blank, period. Then you have the best record in the league with 64-18. You got to make it unless there's going to be some problems. So I have the Heat. I have the Celtics beating the Heat in 5 if Jimmy Butler isn't playing. But if Jimmy Butler is playing, I wouldn't be surprised if it goes 7 games. But I have the Celtics. Now, the Cavaliers versus the Magic. Now, the Magic hasn't been publicized on TV, but the Magic do have a good team with Wagner, Banchero, Suggs. They got a good team. I'm not even going to lie to you. The games that I have watched, they do have a pretty good team. Cole Anthony is also on that team. They got a good team. But the Cavaliers with Darius Garland and Donovan Mitchell, Evan Mobley, Strus, and all of these boys, I just feel as though team as a whole, I think that the Cavaliers will be winning in probably like 6 games. But don't sleep on Paolo Banchero at all. Don't sleep on that team at all. Bucks versus Pacers. Now, the Bucks have had problems this whole entire season ever since they added Doc Rivers to be their new head coach. They've just been having problems. I know Damian Lillard, when he made it to Milwaukee, he was thinking that it was going to be a better team than what it was in Portland, and he was going to have a championship run, and that really just off the regular season alone just hasn't been the case. But I just feel as though since they've been so inconsistent, it's going to be hard for them to reach it to a finals. But specifically, the Bucks versus the Pacers, I personally have the Bucks beating the Pacers. I have them blitzing them, actually. I think that's going to go 5. Tyrese Halliburton, I don't think Tyrese Halliburton is really like that when it matters most against these good teams. I don't think he like that. I'm sorry. That's just always been me. Like, he been getting so much, publicity from the All-Star game and all that. But when it matters most, for an example, when they played against the Lakers, when it mattered most, he ain't really do nothing. I think he had 20 and 12, but I'm telling you, it didn't feel as though he was really doing anything when it mattered most. So I feel as though when it matters most, Tyrese Halliburton, he ain't like that for real. Trae Young is like that because he took his team to the Eastern Conference Finals. That's why I personally will say that Trae Young is a better player than Tyrese Halliburton. We'll see how Tyrese Halliburton plays, though. If Tyrese Halliburton can make some noise in this playoff, I may say different. But right now, when it matters most, when Tyrese Halliburton plays against good teams this season, and I'm talking about some good teams, not just the Bucks, not saying that they're not a good team, but they've been mediocre this whole entire season. We're not going to do that. When it matters most against these great teams, he ain't doing that 20-point, 20 assists like he doing against these trash teams. He ain't doing that. So, Tyrese Halliburton, you got to prove me wrong. You got to prove me wrong. I got to really see if you like that when it matters most. But as of right now, I got the Bucks in 5. Knicks versus 76ers. Jalen Brunson is straight up carrying the mess out this team. Even though they do got guys, they got Hart and they got DiVincenzo. They don't got Julius Randle, and that is going to kill them. They don't have him for the whole season. But they end up winning 50 games, and that's really that's good. But I do have the Knicks end up being the 76ers. It's going to be hard for the 76ers to win. They need Tobias Harris and Maxey to really step up and play if they want to have a chance. But I think I have the Knicks winning. So the Knicks and Bucks, should I say, the Celtics and the Cavaliers. I got the Celtics in 5, and then I have the Bucks in 6 against the Knicks, And then the Celtics and the Bucks, I have the Celtics in 6. So that's who I have on that side. Now, for my conference finals, I have the Mavericks and the Nuggets in the Western Conference Finals, and I have the Nuggets winning in 6. So it all comes back down to the Boston Celtics and the defending champs, the Denver Nuggets. Now, the Denver Nuggets, I just feel as though, man, like, they're just a great team. Same with the Boston Celtics, but I just feel as though coaching Mike Malone is going to be the difference maker. Mike Malone versus Joe Mazzulla, when it matters most, Mike Malone is going to get them boys over the hump. Most definitely. Going to get them over the hump. Jason Tatum is going to get his, but Jaylen Brown has to play. Jaylen Brown has to play, and Porzingis has to stretch out the floor. But we're really counting on Jaylen Brown. Jason Tatum has the most amount of pressure throughout this whole entire series. The Boston Celtics as a whole have the most amount of pressure throughout this whole entire series because they won 64 games. They have the best record by 7 games. They're up in the Eastern Conference by 14 games. So they've been dominant. They only lost 18 games this whole entire season. So if Jason Tatum and Jaylen Brown, if they can't do anything in this playoffs, it's going to look bad for them. It's going to look bad for them because you can't have the best record and not do anything. So they're under the most pressure, most definitely. They got to, especially Jaylen Brown. You paid Jaylen Brown this huge contract money, this huge contract deal. I think it was $300 million. A whole lot of money. He has to do it in the playoffs when it matters most. He has to prove that he is worth that much when it comes to the playoffs because he's been disappearing. So with that in mind, I personally have the Nuggets winning in 6. I think Joker is going to get his. And I just feel like Joker, Aaron Gordon, and I feel like Michael Porter Jr. is going to step up and propel them to victory. So let me know who y'all think is going to win the NBA Finals. Like I said, if the Celtics don't win, it's a bust, and we're going to have some problems depending on how they lose. They can't lose in the first or second round. It's championship or bust, point blank, period. So now since we're done with the NBA, we're going to talk about the WNBA because, you know, it has been the conclusion of women's college basketball. Obviously, South Carolina, congratulations to South Carolina for beating the Iowa Hawkeyes and, you know, kind of shattering Caitlin Clark's historic run, single-season run since she didn't get the chip. Raven Johnson was the difference maker in that game. Fool Wally and Tessa Johnson was also the difference maker, but Camila Cardoso played phenomenal in that game. Caitlin Clark, she had 18 points in the game, in the first quarter, should I say. She finished off with 30, so she only got held to 12 points through 3 quarters. That is key coaching by Dawn Staley and the South Carolina Gamecocks. That was overall a good game that they had, and they had an undefeated season. Nobody will be talking about that, which is so crazy. Everybody will be talking about Caitlin Clark's historic season. I don't like that. But even though she had a good season, let's talk about the team that went undefeated and dominated the whole entire season from start to finish. It's going to be probably the most unheard, undefeated team in women's college basketball, for real. But since all of that has happened, obviously the WNBA draft has happened, and obviously Caitlin Clark went number 1 to the Indiana Fever. You had Cameron Brink go number 2. You seen Camila Cardoso. You seen Rakia Jackson from Tennessee. Angel Reese go to the Chicago Sky along with Camila Cardoso and a whole bunch of other guys. Now, on social media, there has been the contracts for obviously Caitlin Clark, Angel Reese, and a bunch of other girls that got drafted that got leaked, not leaked, but it got exposed, to the internet for us to see. Now, as you see with Caitlin Clark, her rookie contract, 4 years, $338 million. For 2024, she's going to be making $76,000. 2025, 78, 26, 85,000, and 27, 97,000. And it's really kind of crazy to see this because in college she was making way more money. And you see with Angel Reese, as you see, Reese's rookie contract is going to start her off with $73,000 for the year, and then it gradually increases and expected to get to $93,000 in her fourth season. So Angel Reese is going to be making like $3,000 less than her, and it's kind of crazy to see that Caitlin Clark was making way more money in college than she was now in the NBA. Like, it's really just crazy. And one thing I will say with Caitlin Clark, really, but this whole draft class with her, Rakia Jackson, Angel Reese, Camila Cardoso, Cameron Brink, and all these girls, this draft class is going to be the difference maker for the future of how the WNBA is in regards to contracts. And I will say this because of simple fact, specifically Caitlin Clark. Caitlin Clark has brought so much attention to the WNBA. The women's college basketball, it has been crazy. With that being said, Caitlin Clark has to translate her game to the professionals because Caitlin Clark, her jersey gets sold out in all sizes. I don't even know when that has happened. She just signed the 8-figure deal with Nike. She has to ball. If she doesn't ball, she is going to be the difference maker between what the salaries are right now for the WNBA and them being higher. She has to ball because if she balls, you got to think Caitlin Clark plays like Steph Curry. Caitlin Clark is a women's version of Steph Curry. Kids nowadays want to see somebody like a Steph Curry play. Not saying that there hasn't been no generational talents in the WNBA. There's been generational talents. Brittany Griner and all of these girls that have played in the past. But nobody like Caitlin Clark has came, and these kids now are seeing Caitlin Clark and be like, hey, that's Steph Curry. So if they see Caitlin Clark in the WNBA and they see that Caitlin Clark is doing the same exact thing that she was doing in college than the WNBA, that's already going to get the viewers. She's already getting the viewers now. The WNBA got sold out, and all of the Indiana Fever games won 13 games last season. Now I think 36 or 38 of the 40 games are going to get televised when they weren't even getting televised a year ago. Caitlin Clark is bringing so much. So if Caitlin Clark can translate her game to the WNBA, people are going to already watch Caitlin Clark. So if she keeps on doing her thing in the WNBA, they're going to also notice that, oh, there's actually some good teams and some good players out here in the WNBA. They're going to see Angel Reese play, and they're going to be like, oh, she's good, but there's so many other good players in the WNBA. And that's going to keep the viewers, but specifically with Caitlin Clark. So if Caitlin Clark can be good and translate, she's going to bring the audience. She's literally the platform for WNBA right now. She is going to be the difference maker whether or not the salaries for WNBA players are going to be where they are right now or if they go up. There ain't no question. And it's really her, but it's also the draft class too. People are going to watch the whole WNBA really for Caitlin Clark and obviously for the other girls, but mainly for Caitlin Clark. They're going to see more talent in the WNBA, and they're going to be like, oh, there's actually more talent. Then they're going to look at those teams, and then they're going to probably find a like it for those teams. You see it with generational talents in the NBA with Kareem, Michael Jordan, Larry Bird, Magic Johnson, LeBron, KD, and now with Luka, Ja Morant, there's been more players, more generational players that people are attracted to. So since they're attracted to those players, they're going to watch that player, and that's how they have a favorite player. But then they're going to be like, oh, there's also more players out here that are actually good. And then that's how they keep the viewership. So Caitlin Clark, they see that Caitlin Clark is a generational talent. She plays like Steph Curry. She translates that to the WNBA. She already has the audience from college ball with her. So if she brings that to the WNBA, people are going to notice that there's more talent in the WNBA, and that's going to keep the viewership, and that's going to make the contracts go up because the views are going up because of Caitlin Clark and this year's draft class. So this year's draft class can be the difference maker on what the salaries are right now and what they're going to be. Caitlin Clark, if she plays the way that she is playing, she can make over $1 million. Right now, this looks like the rookie max. And the rookie max, she's not even making $100,000. That is really crazy. Her Nike deal is making way more. Her NBA, WNBA contract right now is just like a side hustle. Isn't that crazy? All of her endorsements is her main hustle, but the WNBA is just like a side hustle because you're not even making $100K from that. That's crazy. But she can be the difference maker. Angel Reese can be the difference maker. Cameron Brink, Camila Cardoso can be the difference maker on what salaries are now and what they can be. If they suck, if Caitlin Clark turns out to be a bust, it's going to stay right where it is. Because we don't want the WNBA to get help from the NBA in regards to money so that way they can fund for, the WNBA. We want them to have their own. We want them to have their own audience and do good. And this draft class can make that happen if they all come out to be good. Now, these weren't the only girls that came out. Obviously, Mackenzie Forbes then came out, and other girls that have came out that are also going to make difference makers. But they have to translate that to the WNBA. Now, with Caitlin Clark, Angel Reese, Camila Cardoso, and all of these girls coming out and going to the WNBA draft, what does it look like for college basketball, women's college basketball? Remember, it wasn't Caitlin Clark when she came in freshman year, because remember, they all came in at the same time. Remember, freshman year, who was the face? It was mainly Paige Beckers of UConn. Then Caitlin Clark came really junior year, and they was like, oh, okay, hold on, we got to watch Caitlin Clark. Caitlin Clark come, and now she's the face of women's ball, and then it went to her and Angel Reese, and then, it was Caitlin Clark all senior year. Caitlin Clark has to pass the torch to Paige Beckers. Paige Beckers is got to be the face of women's college basketball right now. Then Paige Beckers has to pass the torch to who? Juju Watkins. So it has to be a continuous pass the torch of legacy and great players after great players after great players in order for women's college basketball to grow. And Caitlin Clark is doing that. Caitlin Clark, her being a generational talent, brought the views, brought the viewerships. Same with Angel Reese. Brought the views, brought the viewerships. Now they got the eyes on the WNBA. Now they got eyes on women's college basketball. But now it has to hold up, and now it has to withstand. So Caitlin Clark did her job in college. Now it's Paige Becker's job. Now it's going to be Juju Watkins when Paige Beckers leaves next year to go to the WNBA. It has to be a continuous pass to torch of generational talent. It just does. So Caitlin Clark has the most amount of pressure on her hands, because if Caitlin Clark is a bust, it is going to significantly hurt the WNBA in regards to audience and viewership. Now, for the team itself that Caitlin Clark is drafted on, the Indiana Fever. Remember, they have Aaliyah Boston on their team. Aaliyah Boston won Rookie of the Year this past season. So, Caitlin Clark, another thing, too, in order for people to watch. And it's really like this with generational talents. You see it with teams all the time with generational talent. At some point in time, you got to let that generational player take over that team and let them be free. Let them play. So with Caitlin Clark and Aaliyah Boston can play together. You've seen it with Caitlin Clark at Iowa with Hannah Stokey and Gabby Marshall and Kate Martin. They run up and down the court. Caitlin Clark is going to get them girls running fast-paced, and they're going to have them run up and down the court. That's how they got their layups. That's how they got their points with Caitlin Clark. Caitlin Clark and Aaliyah Boston are great players, and they can play together. So at some point in time, though, Caitlin Clark has to have the keys to the team. Let her be the playmaker. Don't let her just be a catch and shooter, just someone that doesn't get the ball like she was getting at Iowa. She has to be the key to the team. She just does in order for not only the team to work, but for the audience to stay. Because really more people are looking at Caitlin Clark more than anybody in this whole WNBA. Now, the Indiana Fever won 13 games last season, which was more than the previous 2 seasons combined. The WNBA has 40 games. So if they can go from like 13-27 to 20-20, just 20-20, success. 25-15, success. Just go up a little bit more and then just gradually. Because Caitlin Clark, I don't think Caitlin Clark is going to do Caitlin Clark, but it may take her just a little, just got to warm up to it. Feel how WNBA is, you know? But Caitlin Clark already is going to bring the viewership. And that's what we love about it. And if she can be who Caitlin Clark really is, the WNBA is going to go up. And for college ball, it's just a pass the torch. Caitlin Clark did what she needed to do. Now it's time for the next player to do it. So Paige Beckers, Juju Watkins, whoever's after that, or if somebody in the midst of all of that steps up, that's what has to happen. But people will look at the WNBA because of Caitlin Clark, and they'll see Sabrina Ionescu, Taurasi Subban, and all of these girls, Aaliyah Boston, and see that there are actually some good girls out here. There's some talented girls playing basketball. So Caitlin Clark has the most talent. Has the most pressure. But Caitlin Clark in this draft class has the most pressure, period, in regards to whether or not the salaries for WNBA players is going to remain what they're at right now or if they're going to go up. And I hope that it does go up. I hope that everybody does good in the WNBA. So that way people will see the WNBA and give them a chance because there's some talented girls out there. Now, the last thing that I will be talking about just a little bit, is the beef between Rick Ross, Kendrick Lamar, Future, Metro, and they're all beefing with Drake. Now, like I said in my real spill, for those of y'all that ain't look at it, please check it out. We did react to Drake's Drop and Give Me 50. I actually heard it before, but I had to just listen to it again. I'm sorry, that was just too hard. But this all started with Kendrick Lamar's Like That with Metro Boomin and Future. They had collabed on the album and all Like That. Kendrick Lamar was dissing Drake and J. Cole. And J. Cole responded on his tape, Might Delete Later, on the song 7 Minute Drill. And he was talking about his albums. His first album was good, and, the rest of the albums was really like trash or whatever. And J. Cole ended up apologizing to Kendrick Lamar. And that was just a bad move. I ended up doing a real spill on that. And Drake comes and he makes a whole diss song dissing everybody that dissed him, whether that was Rick Ross, Kendrick Lamar, Metro Boomin, Drake, and all of these people. Now, do I personally feel as though the beef is going to end? Hell no. This beef is not finna end no time soon. Drake is going to be the type to linger this whole thing on. And I love it too. This is what we need for rap. Because rap was going at an all-time decline with rap sales and rap albums. It just wasn't hitting the same. But now with the rap beef between what people call the 3 best rappers in the game, it is much needed for the music industry. It just is. So Drake making this diss song, and it was absolutely fire. Kendrick has to respond to it. Now, obviously, they've been going back and forth on social media with Drake and Rick Ross going back and forth. Rick Ross calling him white boy and BBL Drizzy and a bunch of other things. Drake calling Metro out, telling him to shut your ass up and make those drums and a bunch of other things. This is what we need for, rap. This is what we need. As long as it stays pin to pad, it's fine. As long as it don't turn violent and somebody gets hurt, like you see with all these Chicago beasts and all of that, like, we don't need none of that. But if it stays how it is, it's absolutely perfect. And this is what we need from the top 3, because we've never seen the top 3 people in the rap game do this. We just haven't. Now, Metro Boomin and Future did drop a second tape. We still don't trust you. And The Weeknd came on and dissed Drake. And overall, as a whole, that album, the best song I personally will say is Drink and Dance, but they have Overload on there. Red Leather, that was another thing. J. Cole got on that song. All My Life with Lil Baby is hard. It seems like Lil Baby's making him a little comeback. I'm still kind of concerned with him. But overall, I feel as though that album doesn't even compare to We Don't Trust You. It doesn't compare. It has way more songs than We Don't Trust You, but it don't have no heavy hitters like a Like That or a Type Shit. Claustrophobic, Young Metro, We Don't Trust You, Cinderella with Future and Travis Scott. It don't got no song on that. We Still Don't Trust You. It don't have nothing compared to We Don't Trust You at all. It has some cool songs, Amazing the Interlude. That was cool to me personally. But overall, like, I personally feel as though that album isn't good, and Drake can easily recover from that. Most definitely. It starts off with We Still Don't Trust You. It was pretty much just a cool little intro song. It wasn't really too much from that song. And overall, it just wasn't hitting at all. I'm trying to pull it up for y'all. So yeah, it has like the songs We Still Don't Trust You, Drink and Dance. Oh, Out of My Hands is cool. But really, other than that, like, there ain't really like no like top tier songs on We Still Don't Trust You. There ain't like no heavy hitters on there. So however Drake is finna come on this next album, Drake is finna come stupid. Nobody in the industry can fuck with Drake. Now that White Boy by Rick Ross is probably getting to him, but with Drake saying shut your hoe ass up and get on them drums, Metro can't say a word to that. Can't say nothing. Kendrick, I don't even know what Kendrick gonna come out with. Kendrick gotta come out with something. Drake ain't gonna apologize. It's gonna keep on lingering, man. It just is. So Drake, nobody can mess with him. And when he come on this next album that he does drop, because he gonna drop something, whether that's a song or an album, I'm telling you, he's gonna go crazy and he gonna end everybody. J. Cole isn't a part of the big 3 no more. No. I personally think Future better. I listen to Future more. Why I got him on my poster? That is a great question. To be honest with you, I got J. Cole on my poster, on my wall, should I say, because I like the painting. I wanted to find a Drake one, but I couldn't find one. That's really the only thing. J. Cole, cool. His music, cool. But, man, you can't apologize after somebody dissed you first and think that you're going to be a part of the big 3. I should take you off the wall for that. I should take him off the wall for that, apologizing, doing all that. Man, nah. Can't do that. So, overall, I feel as though Drake right now is winning the beef. Drake is winning the beef. even with Future dropping both of these tapes, him and Metro, I'm still on Drake's side. Like I said, we still on Big Drizzy, Aubrey Graham. You know what I'm saying? Still on Drake's side. Let me know whose side y'all are on, man. This beef is going to continuously get interesting. Like I said, check out the Real Spill Wednesday because I went in some more detail with everything that's been going on. But overall, more details is going to come in the next few days and all this. It's going to keep on going. It's been going back and forth on Twitter this whole entire time. So let me know whose side y'all are on. Are y'all on Future and Metro or are y'all on Drake's side? Because everybody turning on Drake, Future, Metro, The Weeknd, Kendrick, all these people. J. Cole. It don't phase Drake at all. So let me know whose side y'all are on. So with that in mind, that is the end of this podcast episode. If you made it to the end of this podcast episode, please sure to give this video a thumbs up, subscribe to the channel, turn on post notifications to get the latest updates on when I post a full podcast episode or a full Real Spill Wednesday. More videos will be dropping real soon. Y'all follow me on IG, TikTok, and X at The Truth Comes Live Podcast. And with that in mind, I love each and every one of y'all. And with that, y'all have a nice rest of y'all day.